The day had started like any other for Clara. The kind of afternoon where the sun pours gently through the diner windows and everything feels familiar, almost safe. She moved from table to table with the same quiet rhythm she had perfected over the years, balancing work and motherhood with a strength she rarely gave herself credit for. The lunch rush had finally slowed, leaving behind a warm silence and the soft clinking of cups being stacked away. For Clara, these small moments of calm were precious tiny breaks in a life full of responsibility and constant worry. She didn't know that just beyond this peaceful moment, her entire world was waiting to shift. Life has a way of changing in the spaces between breaths, and that afternoon, as she wiped down the counter with tired hands and a hopeful heart, fate was already stepping quietly toward her, ready to test her kindness in the most unexpected way. Just as Clara placed the last clean mug on the shelf, the soft calm inside the diner shifted. The bell above the door jingled, but this time it wasn't a regular customer or a family passing through. Heavy boots stepped inside, followed by the low murmur of deep voices. A group of Hell's Angels filled the doorway, leather jackets worn from miles on the road, tattoos carrying stories no one dared to ask about. Conversations died mid-sentence. Forks paused halfway to plates, and a nervous quiet settled over the room. Even the manager stiffened behind the counter, his eyes following every movement they made. Clara felt her heartbeat quicken, not out of fear, but from the weight of everyone else's judgment pressing in around her. Yet, as she watched them take their seats, tired, dusty, simply hungry, she sensed something different, something human behind their rough appearance. And that small truth was enough for her to take the first step toward them. Clara steadied her breath and walked toward them, her notepad shaking slightly in her hand. But the moment she reached their table, something unexpected happened. Instead of harsh voices or intimidating behavior, she was met with polite nods and soft thank yous. One of them even joked about how long it had been since they'd had a decent slice of pie. Their rough exterior seemed to fade with every kind gesture they returned, and Clara found herself relaxing, treating them with the same warmth she offered every customer. She added extra bread without charging, kept their coffee cups full, and listened as they quietly chatted among themselves. But while she saw people simply in need of a meal, her manager saw something else entirely. The moment Clara walked back to the counter, his face flushed with anger. He accused her of disobeying him, of risking the diner's reputation. And in that brief, painful moment, her kindness became the very reason she was shown the door. The walk home that evening felt heavier than ever before. Clara held the thin envelope in her hand, the one that carried the weight of her manager's final words. Fired just like that. Every step echoed with the worries she had tried so hard to keep buried. She thought of Micah waiting at home, probably working on his homework, expecting dinner and a smile she now wasn't sure she could manage. Inside their small apartment, she kept her shoulders straight, hiding the storm inside her chest. She cooked with whatever was left in the kitchen, forcing herself to stay calm so her son wouldn't see the fear tightening her breath. But later that night, when he fell asleep, the silence finally broke her. She sat alone at the table, staring at unpaid bills, wondering how kindness could cost so much. Yet even in her tears, a small part of her refused to give up. Next morning carried the kind of stillness that made Clara feel even more uncertain about the day ahead. She tried to focus on simple tasks, washing a bowl, straightening a chair, anything to quiet the echo of last night's fears. But then a sound rose in the distance, low and steady, growing louder with every passing second. She stepped onto her porch, confused at first, until she saw the motorcycles lined all the way down the street, chrome catching the sunlight like sparks. Her breath caught. It was the same group from the diner, but this time they weren't tired travelers looking for a meal. They came with flowers, grocery bags, and quiet determination. Hawk, their leader, stepped forward and explained that they had heard what happened, that her kindness had cost her everything, and they couldn't let that stand. And in that unexpected moment, Clara's world shifted from hopelessness to something she had long forgotten being seen. As the days passed, Clara realized the impact of what had happened reached far beyond her small street. Neighbors shared her story. Local news picked it up. And soon people across town were talking about the waitress who lost her job simply for treating strangers with dignity. Offers began to pour in, messages of support, small donations, and even job opportunities from people who admired her courage. She eventually accepted a position at a cozy family-owned cafe, a place where kindness wasn't questioned but celebrated. Customers came not only for a warm meal, but to meet the woman whose heart had sparked an unexpected chain of compassion. At home, when Clara tucked Micah into bed, she found herself repeating the lesson she had learned the hard way. Doing the right thing isn't always easy, but it always matters. And in the end, kindness has a way of finding its way back.